I had been counting down to my 18th birthday for months. Don't miss out on the journey. Subscribe and let's grow, laugh, and learn together. It wasn't because I wanted an expensive party or flashy gifts. I just wanted one day where I felt like I mattered. My parents had spent years making sure everything revolved around my younger sister, Emma. If she wanted attention, she got it. If she cried, everyone's plans changed. I kept telling myself that my 18th birthday would finally be different. But the morning before the celebration, my mom called me into the living room with a tight smile while my dad avoided looking at me. "We're canceling the party," Mom said flatly. "Your sister doesn't feel special enough with all the attention on you." I laughed because I honestly thought it was a joke. It wasn't. Every decoration disappeared. Every invitation was canceled. And even the cake I'd chosen was taken away, so Emma wouldn't feel left out. I looked at my parents, hoping one of them would realize how cruel this was, but neither of them did. That was the moment something inside me finally broke. I quietly walked upstairs, pulled an old suitcase out from under my bed, and started packing. They thought I was just upset about a birthday. They had no idea I was about to change all of our lives. I didn't slam doors or yell. That would have given my parents exactly what they expected, another excuse to call me dramatic. Instead, I folded my clothes, packed the important documents I'd quietly kept in a folder for years, and slipped my grandmother's old silver locket into my pocket. It was the only birthday gift anyone in the family had ever given me that felt like it came from love instead of obligation. As I zipped the suitcase shut, I heard laughter downstairs. My mother was telling Emma that they could use the party decorations for a sister appreciation night. Instead, I stood at the top of the stairs, listening in silence while my father said, "This is for the best. She'll get over it." Those words hurt more than canceling the birthday itself. I carried my suitcase to the front door without saying a word. My mother looked surprised. "Where do you think you're going?" she asked. "Out," I replied calmly. Emma rolled her eyes and muttered, "She's just trying to make everyone feel guilty." My father crossed his arms. "You'll be back by dinner once you stop acting like a child." I looked at all three of them for a long moment before answering. "Maybe." Then I walked out. I didn't have a perfect plan. I only had enough savings from my part-time bookstore job to pay for a small motel for a few nights. The money wasn't much because my parents insisted I contribute to household bills, while Emma never had to spend a single dollar she earned babysitting. Every paycheck I received seemed to disappear into groceries, utilities, or something my parents claimed was my responsibility as the older sibling. Back then, I believed helping family was normal. Now I realized I had been paying to stay in a house where I was never treated like family at all. As I sat on a bench across the street, my phone buzzed again and again. For one hopeful second, I thought one of my parents had realized their mistake. Instead, it was a text from my mother. "Don't embarrass us by telling people we canceled your birthday." A second message followed. "Come home after you've calmed down." Not a single happy birthday, not one apology, just concern about what the neighbors might think. I turned the screen off and slipped the phone into my pocket. An hour later, another call came, but this time it was from my grandmother. I almost didn't answer because I didn't trust myself to speak without crying. "Sweetheart," she said gently, "why is your mother telling everyone you ran away?" I took a deep breath and quietly explained everything. There was a long silence on the other end. Finally, she asked, "They canceled your 18th birthday because your sister wanted the attention?" "Yes." Another silence. Then her voice changed completely. Calm. Controlled. Almost frighteningly calm. "Stay exactly where you are," she said. "Don't go back to that house until I get there." 40 minutes later, Grandma's car pulled up beside the bench. She stepped out wearing the same composed expression she always had whenever someone underestimated her. She hugged me tightly without asking 100 questions. That hug alone made me realize how desperately I needed someone to believe me. She loaded my suitcase into her car and drove me to her home. On the way, she didn't criticize my parents or tell me to forgive them. Instead, she asked one simple question. "Do you still have the envelope I gave you last Christmas?" I frowned. "The one you told me not to open until my 18th birthday." She nodded. "Yes." It had been sitting untouched in my backpack for months because I'd promised her I wouldn't open it early. Grandma smiled faintly. "Good. You're finally old enough to read it." That night, after dinner, she placed the sealed envelope on the kitchen table. My hands trembled as I opened it. Inside was a handwritten letter and several legal documents. The first line of the letter made my heart stop. "If you're reading this, Your parents have probably disappointed you one last time." I looked up in shock. Grandma only nodded, as if she had expected this day for years. Beneath the letter was paperwork connected to a trust she had quietly created in my name years earlier, money set aside for my education, my first home, and my future, protected so no one else could touch it. At the bottom of the letter, she had written one sentence that changed everything. "Some people only value you when they can control you. Never let anyone buy your silence with guilt." I stared at the papers, realizing my parents knew nothing about them. And if Grandma's expression was any indication, they were about to find out in the worst possible way. They had no idea the child they dismissed had just become the one person they could no longer control. The next morning, my parents arrived at Grandma's house, looking more annoyed than worried. My mother demanded that I come home immediately, insisting I had embarrassed the family over one canceled birthday. Grandma calmly invited them inside, placed the trust documents on the table, and explained that every dollar she had saved for my future was legally protected, and that anyone who tried to pressure or manipulate me into giving it up would fail. My father's confidence disappeared. My mother tried to apologize, but it sounded more like panic than regret. For the first time, they realized I wasn't the quiet kid they could always ignore. I thanked Grandma for believing in me when no one else did, then looked at my parents and spoke without anger. I don't need a party anymore. I needed parents who chose me. And that's the gift you never gave. I picked up my suitcase, knowing my future would be built on my own choices instead of their approval. They didn't lose me because I left. They lost me the day they decided my love was worth less than my sister's comfort.